Welcome, Senator Darius Brown, representing the 2nd Senatorial District in the Wilmington area, and also chairing the Senate Judiciary Committee, and you are also the founding chair of the Legislative Black Caucus. You've accomplished a lot in 2 short years.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It is a joy to know you for so long and your family, and it's been good work over the past 2 years, but it's been the work that I've been able to do because of trailblazing people like Herman Holloway Sr. and Margaret Rose Henry that I've been privileged to succeed in representing the 2nd Senate District.
Great. Now, something happened a week plus ago, and that is discrimination on the basis of race and color and national origin is now officially outlawed here in the state of Delaware because of the second leg of a constitutional amendment that has just been adopted. Can you talk about that? What took so long?
In 2020, I sponsored the ERA Equal Rights Amendment Bill, and because of COVID, we were not able to introduce it last year. As a result of George Floyd's murder and those occurrences that happen around our nation, in correlation with that, the Delaware Legislative Black Caucus adopted a Justice for All agenda, and one of the 8 points of that agenda included amending the Delaware Constitution, the founding document of our state, to include race, national origin, and ethnicity as part of protected classes in our state's founding document.
And how do you expect this, or do you at all, to manifest itself?
It manifests itself in many ways. It manifests itself in the public education and information that we share around the issue, but it also manifests itself in how we develop public policy as we talk about inequity, whether it's in education or employment or housing or other interdisciplinary sectors of our society. We recognize now that the founding document of our state includes these protections. We're able to build upon that as we look at making progress in so many of these other areas.
Because these are short, let me move on to something else you've done, and that is the Crown Bill, creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. I know 6 or 7 other states have done this. Can you explain to folks what it's about and why you thought it was important?
Yes, building upon our state's founding document, we want to ensure that there are protections for individuals, particularly African-American women, but also African-American men, because of their natural hair texture and how they may present themselves with their hair.
Now, Darius, let me interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
Can you explain to people sort of the background, where this came from? People were, there was bias. Can you talk about that in the workplace?
Absolutely. There was bias in the workplace, in the context of education, in the context of contracts and business, just based on an individual's presentation of their hair, not based on the content of their character or their skin or any of those things. And so in 2019, there was a study done by Unilever USA, and Unilever is the parent company of Dove, which is a personal care product that many of us are familiar with. And in their study, they found that many African-American women reported being discriminated against, particularly in the workplace, because of their hair. And so the state of California was the first state to introduce the legislation, and then the first state to pass it was the state of New York. Since that, 5 other states have passed the legislation. With the support of the Delaware General Assembly, we passed it in the Delaware State Senate, again, unanimously, Democrats and Republicans all agreeing and supporting the bill. It's now in the House and will be heard in March. in the House of Representatives, where we look for the same type of support in its passage. And then with the governor's signature, it will be adopted into Delaware's law as Delaware joins 7 other states around the country in addressing this issue and codifying it through the Crown Act.
You know, I see a very positive impact on our state legislature since we have elected a more diverse coalition of people. I think it's quite obvious, you know. How about you? What's your point of view?
So 8 people, 8 African Americans were now serving in the Delaware General Assembly. All of us new to the legislature, other than our founder, Representative Stephanie T. Bolden. And then 2 years later, in 2020, 4 more African American were elected to the Delaware General Assembly, a historic number of 12 African Americans serving, 3 in the state Senate and 9 in the state House of Representatives. I want to put a pin there and talk about how important that is, particularly in the Senate. The seat that I hold is a historical seat that has traditionally been the African-American seat in the Delaware State Senate that was first held by the first African-American Senator Herman Holloway Sr., and then by the first African-American female Senator Margaret Rose Henry. So I continue in that legacy of African-American representation. However, Senator Henry and Senator Holloway served by themselves in the Delaware State Senate. When I came into the Senate, I'm pleased to have had the support of Senator Lockman, and now 2 years later, have Senator Marie Pinckney joining us as well. And then one more little trivia piece to this is that the majority of the Delaware Legislative Black Caucus does not represent the city of Wilmington. There are actually more members of the Delaware Legislative Black Caucus that represent areas in Newcastle County outside of the city limits than in the city. African Americans live throughout the state, throughout the county, Newcastle County, and even though I'm a city guy, want to make sure it's noted that there are more African Americans that live in the county than actually in the city of Wilmington, and so because of that, you see the diverse representation of our legislature.
Well, Senator Brown, thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Alrighty then, take good care.
All right.